Turns out the girl was putting her bag up against the pencil sharpener and was using the vibrations to get off in the middle of math class. r/AskReddit by RedditSwim. Teachers of Reddit, what's your most NSFW story from your workplace? This girl took pictures of her dog eating peanut butter off of her vagina and then sent it to her boyfriend. He proceeded to share it with the whole school, and then the teachers found out. Not my story, but I went to school with the poor bastard. When I was a junior in high school, there was a kid who got left in the hallway either mid-blowjob or halfway through sex by his girlfriend because he started having a seizure. She didn't go for help, she just ran away. So a lot of people at my school found him with his pants down, his dick out, seizing on the ground. A lot of people I went to school didn't even think there was a girl there. They thought he was masturbating in the hallway and had a seizure. I have too many. The one that sticks out the most is the time my teaching partner and I were working after school. He went down to hall to use the bathroom and saw a line of high school boys coming from out of the girls' bathroom. He taps one on the shoulder and asks what's going on here. Lo and behold, an honors student was in the girls' handicapped stall letting the boys' basketball team run train on her to get them pumped up for the state playoffs. Of course she was expelled, but was allowed to walk for graduation in May. Some people let their freak flags fly. This chick was 6 freak flags over Texas. Subbed at a school years ago. A teacher broke up with a student he'd been statutory raping. She got upset with him and told people they'd been having sex with each other. Then another girl revealed that she'd been having sex with him too. Then a girl who'd graduated the year before said they'd been together as well. And then another from even earlier. It turned out this teacher, who was coach for one of the girls' sports teams, had been using that team as his own personal harem for over a decade, finding, grooming, and seducing at least a dozen high school girls. The school district paid an unspecified amount of money to a lot of people to have him quietly resign and leave town. Edit. It's depressing how many people read this and ask if I taught at their high school, because something just like this happened there. This incident was almost 30 years ago in the US Northeast. Had a student run up to me and say that someone had been stabbed in the girls' room. Turns out that a 5th grader had started their period. She later got the talk when she got home. Similar shit happened to me, but in 4th grade. Had no idea what a period was and just walked around all day thinking the blood seeping through my white jean shorts meant I was going to die. Everyone saw it. Nobody said anything. Not even the teachers. And it was St. Patrick's Day. Edit. Wow. My most upvoted comment is about my period. Reddit's a weird fucking place. Edit. Thank you, stranger, for my second ever silver, and, oddly, my second silver today. My mother taught elementary school for 35 years. 2nd grader told his teacher he was going to shoot her. Teacher blows it off. Next morning my mom waits for the kid to get off the bus, follows him to class and grabs his backpack when he put it up. Yep, loaded revolver. No news. Nothing. Cops came, but the principal kept it relatively quiet. This was Houston, mid to late 80s. Wife has been teaching about 15 years. 8th grader in foster care sat in the front left desk, draped his jacket on his right side, proceeded to whip his junk out and go to Cranktown during class. Wife noticed, called for help without the rest of the class even knowing. Kid didn't get the satisfaction of her looking scared, etc. Hopefully the kid got help. Brother taught at a Last Chance High School. While he was coaching football at another high school, 17-year-old girl walks up after class and calmly says, "Coach, I wanna suck your cock." Brother was mid-20s at the time. Said half a second flashed by then. No, come with me. Walked her down to the office, sure he's about to get arrested because she will twist the story around. Thankfully she didn't. Brother quit soon after. Not worth the risk for a young guy. So how does it feel that everyone in your family but you is teaching? I'm a 7th/9th grade teacher. I'm only in my first year. Apparently an 8th grade student, 14 years old, was getting called a slut and other students were saying she was sleeping with 4 guys every week. She then stood up in my class, turned to the people harassing her, and yelled, "I've only fucked 2 guys this year, so shut up." Being a large man in his early 20s, I completely ignored the situation and just asked everyone to quiet down and get to work. It was very uncomfortable. Look on the bright side, at least she didn't say this week. Not me, but the woman who taught across the hall from me. She was teaching a 9th grade math class and her classroom had those old-fashioned pencil sharpeners that attach to the wall, and you turn the lever to sharpen your pencil. One of her students was sharpening her pencil every day during class, and seemed to take a long time to do so, because each time she would stand at the back of class sharpening her pencil for 2 minutes or so. After a week or so of this, the teacher went to ask if the student needed help sharpening her pencil. Turns out the girl was putting her back up against the pencil sharpener and was using the vibrations to get off in the middle of math class. I walked out of class during a prep period to go upstairs to talk with another teacher. In the stairwell there was a female student blowing a male student. The worst thing was she didn't stop even after I yelled. Many things have happened at my school, but this is the only one I have personally witnessed. I subbed at a school once where we had a special ed kid who would not stop pooping in the stairwell. They had teachers escorting him from one class to another. He was theoretically supervised at all times, and yet every week or two he managed to slip away long enough to drop a deuce in the stairwell. I still pity that poor janitor. I'm a paramedic, not a teacher, but we ran a call at a high school one day for a girl that was feeling sick. After questioning her for a while trying to find out what was going on, things just weren't making sense. We get her in the back of the ambulance away from parent and teachers and she finally opens up. Apparently she recently started giving her BF oral sex and he wanted to finish in her mouth, but semen really grossed her out. So in order to get over her phobia, the BF thought a little exposure therapy would do the trick. He provided her with a Ziploc bag full of semen so she could ingest it all throughout the day. She only made it to about 10 AM before becoming violently ill. Poor girl, I felt so bad. I was a teacher 2010 to 2015. I was teaching high school at an all-girls school and there was this student teacher from a local university. He was 19 or 20. He was always being a jerk to this one senior at the school. I thought it a bit odd he was always focusing on her. Fast forward a few months, and it was post-graduation. I was out at a local bar, and look over, and see them together there. A co-worker said they had been screwing for the past few months. I asked him how he knew. There was a smaller teacher's lounge in one of the wings of the school. As there weren't normal classes in that wing, it was not frequented, and the setup wasn't as nice. He said he popped in there one day, and she was down on her knees blowing him. He closed the door and walked away. Not long after, the student teacher found him in his class, and asked him what he saw. My co-worker was a bit stunned, and said he wasn't sure. The student teacher said that he should keep what he saw to himself, or the truth could get twisted against him. He implied the senior would state she was going down on my co-worker, and not the student teacher. There were no cameras or anything in that area, so my co-worker decided to keep his mouth shut. In high school, we had a beloved teacher and I'm still friends with him to this day. However, he viewed taking attendance as a big waste of time, and his class was enjoyable, so kids rarely skipped it, so he'd just give the class a once-over and try to notice if anyone was missing, and sometimes kids would yell out that a kid was sick. Well, on this particular day, he marked everyone as present, including a kid that was not in class, as he was busy murdering his uncle. So the teacher had to go to court and say on the record that no, he is not providing an alibi for the student, he's just terrible at attendance. The administration really got on his ass about attendance after that, and he was good about it for a few years, and then he went back to his old ways, saying it's very unlikely I'll have another murder during my class. Caught 2 students having sex on top of a slide on the playground after school. It was one of these slides with the covered waiting area at the top. Her face was sticking out of the front of it, and his ass and feet were sticking out of the back. She saw us, another teacher and I, first and started screaming that she was stuck on the slide. He freaked out, banged his head on the inside and essentially tumbled back down the steps while trying to get his pants up. They were 5th graders BTW. A year or two after I graduated, one of the female gym teachers got fired for having sexual relations with some of the girls on the field hockey team. A second female gym teacher got fired and sent to prison for trying to cover it up. Second grade caught fingering a second grade girl in the phys ed locker room after school. Apparently they were both from abusive families and they were victims of sexual abuse by their dads. Not the same dad, obviously. That's the fucked up part. Both their dads were sexual abusing those kids and they coped by trying sexual stuff on each other at the age of 8. My friend's teaching mentor was insane. She told crazy sex stories to him and a bunch of interns. Sent pictures of men in genital cuffs to coworkers. All kinds of bizarre stuff for any workplace, but definitely for someone who teaches 11-year-olds. You have just been visited by the study pupper. This pupper will grant you good grades and A's on every test you forgot to study for life. If you comment study the test, pupper